Hi, everyone. Welcome to our October 2024 Firewise workshop. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have an exciting presentation by guest speaker Steve Lazenby with the CERT program, Community Emergency Response Team over at Ventura County Fire Department. So very excited about that. Just before we get started, I always start with some ground rules. So I ask that you save your questions to the end of the presentation or drop them in the chat. We usually get to the chat questions first during the Q&A. You can remain on mute for the presentation, but then unmute during the Q&A section. And then leave your camera on if you'd like, but we are being recorded, so this will be on our YouTube later. And then for the Q&A section, just be respectful of everyone's times. And if you have any more questions and we can't get to it by 2 p.m., you're welcome to schedule Firewise office hours with me on our website at venturafiresafe.org, or you can always send an email to info@venturafiresafe.org and we'll get to those questions. Just an introduction to everybody that's on the call today. From our team, we have Mayra De Leon, who's our communications and outreach specialist. Sarah Rodriguez, who will be monitoring the chat and dropping links to important items that we discuss in the chat. And then there's me. My name is Natasha Saxena. I'm the Regional Firewise Coordinator. I've been with the Fire Safe Council for about 2 years now, and we're the host of these monthly Firewise workshops that we started this January, and we're a nonprofit organization. Then we have Larry Williams, who is our representative from Ventura County Fire Department. He joins us to have a wealth of information during our Q&A section on the Firewise USA program. And it's his goal to have 24 communities by 24 Firewise communities in 2024. And we're at 21 Firewise communities, so pretty exciting. He'll also have some updates for us later on the Firewise program. And then we have our guest speaker today, Steve Lazenby, who will take it over in just a few minutes. So our agenda for today, I just have a few updates and upcoming events from our Fire Safe Council. And then I'll do a little Firewise USA 101 for anybody that's new on the call or just wants a refresher. Then Steve will take over, and then at 1:40 we'll meet back for a Q&A. So a slight update. So next month is going to be the first month we're not going to have a Firewise workshop. Instead, we're going to combine November and December for a December 13th workshop, the last workshop of this year. So I hope you can all make it to that. It'll be an exciting one. And then for anybody who came to our Firewise USA Food for Thought event, this was the first networking event for anybody in Ventura County who is applying or already recognized in Firewise USA. It was a fantastic event. We'll likely host another one in next spring. We had around 50 people. There was a Dodgers game, so we had a couple of last minute cancellations, but it ended up being a really fun event. We had roundtable discussions. Folks shared a lot of ideas. Then we had an excellent panel with some amazing speakers from CAL FIRE, the insurance Department of Insurance, and then other resident leaders within our community. And then this is a little shout out for an upcoming event. I'm going to let Mayra De Leon, our communications and outreach specialist, take over this slide.
Thank you, Natasha. Yes, so everybody that's in this call, if you are a part of a recognized Firewise community or you are in the process of applying for one, and essentially, if you have had any interaction with Natasha or any of our VRFSC staff in any way that has helped you either gain Firewise USA status or helped you throughout that application process, we are essentially creating a video that we are hoping to premiere at our end of the year fundraiser and celebration on November 14th. We're developing this video to show essentially our gratitude for all of the effort that is being done in our communities for Firewise USA. First, I want to invite you to the event itself. On November 14th, we are having our end of the year fundraiser celebration. Like I said, we really want to share our gratitude for all of the effort that has been done throughout the community, Firewise or not, for wildfire efforts all throughout Ventura County. Especially those to Firewise communities, though, because they are really leading that effort in lowering wildfire risk throughout the county at a larger scale than just an individual home. They're really making that effort to, I mean, you are really making that effort to lower your risk at a community-wide scale. And so because of such an impact that is being made throughout the county, we want to hopefully share this video with everybody about the importance of Firewise communities, and then essentially what our program that Natasha leads is the Firewise Assistance Program, and how that program helps elevate these communities to really have a lot more success when it comes to the application process, but then also after getting that good standing and recognition from Firewise USA, you know, what that effort looks moving forward, and how as a fire safe council we are helping communities stay in good standing, but also keep the effort going in lowering wildfire risk for these communities. So this Firewise Media project essentially is, we're hoping to develop about a, hopefully it's about 3-minute video that encompasses who we are as a nonprofit for the Fire Safe Council, why community engagement is such a big deal to lower wildfire risk, and then ultimately highlight some Firewise leaders within that video. And currently we have two separate Firewise communities whose leaders we've reached out to and are scheduled to be interviewed pretty soon. And then at the end of the video, we're hoping to get essentially a compilation of all of the Firewise folks getting their groups together to make a really quick thank you Fire Safe Council video, right? So it could just, it's a simple and I'm gonna pull out my phone if I can find it right now, but essentially grab a group together and record essentially 2 videos. You're gonna record one vertical and then one horizontal, because nowadays we need to record a format for social media and then a format for the actual video that we're gonna be premiering on that night. But essentially you just gather your group, you do a big selfie video, and essentially we just need the thank you Ventura Fire Safe Council, and then cheering and any type of celebration that you want to share with us. I have the link for the Dropbox, and I'm going to find that and get it to you before the end of the unless Sarah, I'm not sure if you've already gotten that link, but I'll drop that in the chat before the end of the session today. So with that, I'll kick it back to you, Natasha, and we'll probably remind you of this once more at the end of the session today. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Myra. So I hope to see you all there at the November event. Now for just an introduction to Firewise, for anybody who's new here, Firewise is run by the NFPA and applications are reviewed by CAL FIRE. It's a voluntary program that provides a framework for residents to gather and rally around their fire concerns in their neighborhood, and then apply online with certain required documents and steps, and then reapply every year. There's a lot of benefits. One of the most popular benefits is that in recent years, there's now a guaranteed insurance discount for anybody that's in a Firewise USA recognized community. This discount, of course, varies. There's no minimum insurance discount price, so it could be as low as 0.1% in some insurance agencies on just the wildfire part, and then some people can get as high as 10 to 15%. So we always recommend reaching out to your insurance company and broker and asking how much a percent you might get in terms of discount, and then considering that. And a lot of times it'll be very unique, parcel to parcel, home to home within a community. Some homes might have a certain amount of discount, some will have other discounts. There's numerous other benefits. You get more educated and more prepared communities. It's been credited with multiple instances of preventing structure loss and really saving communities and lives. There's also access to Fire Safe Council resources. Sarah will drop the link in the chat for anybody who would like to request flyers from us. We had one community recently request an A-frame, so they can shout out a community event that's happening locally. You're welcome to borrow that from our organization. You just have to request it. And then we also have grants available. So Right now, we have funding, thanks to some of our grant funders, available for recognized community. They can apply for up to $1,000 to carry out items within their action plan in 2024. So this is a grant that's only available this year for now. There are 6 steps to Firewise USA. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but if you would like more details on these 6 steps, I recommend going on our YouTube or going to our website where we kind of break down each step, venturafiresafe.org, and you can learn more about this. The first is to form a team. You want about 2 or more people on your team, then assess wildfire risk. There's a required document, develop an action plan. This one's going to be a really good one for today. When Steve talks about CERT, that's a fantastic one to put in your action plan. Getting a CERT team under evacuation planning section of the action plan, excellent. And then there's a couple of more steps, and the last one is to apply online. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Steve, who will talk about Community Emergency Response Team. Thank you so much for being here, Steve. You can take it away.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I have to preface this by saying I've spent the morning going through the hoops, trying to find fire insurance for my house, because I recently received notification that my current carrier is not going to renew in January. So what an exciting thing. Yes, I'm Steve Lazenby. I'm retired Santa Paula fire captain. During that period of time, I spent about 15 years as the emergency preparedness coordinator for the city of Santa Paula. And I currently work, it's a part-time job, but only in title, because it really is more like full-time job as the Ventura County CERT program manager. And I enjoy it. And it is a great program. We've got good instructors. When we put teams together, not necessarily teams, but when we as instructors put together classes, the enthusiasm among the students is very impressive. And so I'm a real advocate of the CERT program. So my goal, we're going to watch a quick video. There's no sound with it. In your head, think to yourself, a major event's coming. It's going to hit us. We don't know when it's coming. It's going to be a surprise. And if we're not ready for it, then we're going to get hit again. And so that's what CERT's about. We don't want to be this guy. So that was pretty much a surprise. Hit him pretty hard. He thinks he's going to survive, but he's not ready for what happens after the event, and it gets him again. So that's what CERT's going to do, I hope. When we handle the CERT program and teach the students that are in there, first of all, we teach them to be aware that something's coming. It's going to happen. We don't know really what it might be. We certainly don't know when it's going to be, but there's a huge chance that it's going to happen to us and impact our life. And then thereafter, once you get on the other side of whatever the disaster is, the fire, the flood, then you've got to be able to survive. And so that's really what the CERT training is about. Next slide, please. So it's preparing yourself, your loved ones, family, friends. One of the things that I encourage our students to know when they're taking the CERT classes, if you're really getting enthusiastic and you get prepared and you bring in your supplies and your tools and you learn all these tricks and techniques and gather all the equipment that you need, if your neighbors and loved ones aren't prepared, then they're actually, because of the nature of things, are going to become a burden to you, and then your preparedness will be lessened because you're going to help your neighbors. So it's a whole lot too about getting our neighbors and friends and family and loved ones, especially, and staff to be prepared. Next slide.
The CERT program is important to Ventura County because we recognize that no one agency can deal with large-scale disasters. We're not going to put out the call for help. Mother Nature is. Our fire stations are going to be quickly overwhelmed with the number of calls for help. So we're going to be dependent on those community volunteers to come out and say, I know what to do. Let me show you.
Biggest part that I like about CERT is that I get the opportunity to give back to my community. It doesn't take somebody with a police or a fire department background. It just takes somebody with the willingness to serve.
In 2005, wildfires hit Oak Park. And our team members who had gone through CERT, they came together as a team to notify people, get out. And I'm so proud of our CERT volunteers.
Here you make a difference.
It's a fantastic training, and the fire department devotes a lot of resources to those classes.
In 24 hours, you'll be certified. We teach you how to utilize fire extinguishers, when to shut off the gas, how to treat basic medical needs. We are not here to make you firefighters or nurses or police officers. We're here to empower you in case there's not enough of us to go around.
When disaster strikes, the community needs its volunteers, and we need you.
Thank you. So the course syllabus basically is covered in 6 weeks. We cover general preparedness and really hammer home the fact that we've got to take care of ourselves and be prepared. Next class is team organization, which is the incident command system. And we teach the CERT people not only how to administer and use that, but also how they fit into it within the community. And then there's 2 classes of disaster medical, and it's not really first aid, it's more like frontier medicine, but how to recognize injuries. We teach them how to do triage, how to transport and carry patients, set up treatment areas, and then bandage and care for them. We also include in there 30 to 45 minutes of disaster psychology and helping them cope with these kinds of problems and help other people cope with them. And then there's fire safety at home and at work, and everybody gets a chance to put a fire out with a fire extinguisher. Talk briefly about hazmat and what a threat that might be. And then basic search and rescue, which includes identifying whether or not buildings are safe to go into, for instance, after an earthquake. If they're safe to go in, we teach them how to do a rescue, how to package a patient up, how to carry them out, take them to a treatment area. And one of the components of that night is cribbing and lifting, where we use pry bars and cribbing material, which is pieces of cut lumber to lift heavy objects. And so it's not only a team building effort, it's a skill that they may get to use, may have to use to rescue someone. We talk about terrorism. We also talk and teach a quick course on hands-only CPR, because in our opinion, when you get this many people together over a period of a year, it's just crazy not to teach them hands-only CPR, because that will just improve the opportunity of providing care for people, strangers, family members. And then the course concludes with a drill that runs 3 or 4 hours. We simulate, in our case, an earthquake, and divide them up into teams and recreate that earthquake and hide the victims and have them go in and rescue the victims and carry them out and treat them 5 times over a 3 or 4 hour period. So everybody gets the opportunity to be part of the team management. They get a chance to fight fire again, get a chance to do lifting, search and rescue, patient movement, patient care. So it's a pretty comprehensive training, and I feel like it empowers people. Next slide. This is a picture of a treatment area, and when you've taken the CERT class, of course, if you're a medical person, you know that the red's immediate, yellow's delayed, green's minor, black is deceased. They're off in the distance. Next slide. How to safely package a patient, pick them up and move them and take them to a treatment area. Next slide. And then next slide, firefighting. So we teach a specific technique on how to do that. And then here's a picture of cribbing and lifting. So it's you may never get to use that, but maybe. So CERT is it's a national program. Stands for Community Emergency Response Team. The classes are usually taught, but not always taught, by firefighters, and it's free. It's made possible by FEMA and local grants. And in Ventura County, the CERT classes are administered by Ventura County Fire Department. They're promoted by the local communities, and then they're supported by our fire stations and our crews. So every community, as you can see depicted there below, has the opportunity to have a CERT class. Some of them have 2 a year, some of them have 3 a year. We have in the past and now are currently offering CERT in Spanish so that we can get a wider group of our population. But it's very good. Next, please. So the CERT class provides 22 to 24 hours of classroom hands-on and hands-on emergency training. They normally meet once a week during the week in the evening for about 3 hours, and then followed by the drill. It's intended for adults 18 and up. We can make provisions for youth 16 and up, and even younger. And in cases throughout the county, several high schools are offering it as part of their curriculum as an elective. Next. Of course, the thing we drive home is emergencies are going to come and they're going to happen to us. And it's important for us to know and take responsibility for ourselves. So we quickly go through during the initial class, next slide, and talk about how unlikely it is that real help's coming to help us. And so this depicts, it says there's 2.5 to 3 firefighters for every 1,000 people. I can tell you that's not even close. In Santa Paula, we've got 2 stations with eight firefighters. We've got 30,000 people. You do the arithmetic, you can see that there's nowhere near the number of firefighters that they say from studies nationally there are. And it's true, next slide, it's true for law enforcement, and it's also true for our ambulance crews. So when people are accustomed to calling 911 and getting immediate, sophisticated, and complete help during a disaster, that's just not going to happen. Next slide. Next. So during widespread emergencies, we're not going to be able to rely on 911. We've got to be prepared to take care of ourselves and the people around us. And so that's the main thrust of CERT. Next. This is what you want if you've got an emergency. This is an old picture I took in Santa Paula at a fire. This is what you want when you look out your window or see something happening at your house. But in fact, next, what you're going to get is nothing. And so one time I had a city manager tell me after a meeting, when I think I told the Rotary Club this, I love that guy, but he basically shook his finger in my face and he said, "You can't tell people that." And I asked him why not, and he said, "This will scare them." That's the point. I don't think unless we look at it realistically, we're gonna prepare ourselves and be able to take care of ourselves. And so a little bit of the training that comes from CERT is looking at realistically how dangerous things will be for us. So then we go on to train and talk about what needs to be done. We know that all kinds of weather events could happen. Maybe we don't have our our tornadoes and hurricanes here, but next. We do have earthquakes. Next. And pandemic, we had that. I think we learned a lot about how to conduct ourselves, prepare and take care of ourselves during that. Terrorism as well as a threat and a possibility. Next. And of course, fires, which you folks deal with very closely. All of us do. You know, we're in a red flag warning today. I was afraid that my power was going to go off and I wouldn't be able to get online with you. So we also talk about when you're supposed to get prepared. Next. So what's the time to get prepared? This is a pretty powerful video that drives home the story. Next.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Not much you can add to that, except it's pretty clear. So by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail, Benjamin Franklin. And that's what you folks talk about when you go out and promote your program. That's what we talk about in CERT. So what do you do to prepare? We spend quite a bit of time talking about that. Next. We need to understand that our supply of foodstuffs, gasoline, everything that we depend on day to day could either be completely eliminated from the supply chain or certainly limited. So we need to start preparing ourselves and gather in all of the things that we need. We need to make sure we've got communication. Go ahead. And that we can be alerted to, if you go back to the one we advocate everybody become VC alert. We talk about getting on pulse points so that you can see what's going on in your neighborhood and so on. Next slide. Radio communications. We talk about how important it is to have communications with the outside world as well as maybe within your own home and neighborhood, and the importance of a ham radio, for example, or having the family type radios. Next. Talk to them about texting rather than calling, because your text is more apt to go through. Having emergency supplies, water in particular, making sure you keep gas in your car, having things such as Clorox to purify and clean with. There's a great deal that we talk about in that case. Next. Having the food supplies, fuel, and so on. Next. The things that you need for everybody, prescriptions. Many of us already have supplies that we can use, such as camping gear. Next picture. So we need to prepare kits in our car and at home and at work in case something happens while we're not home where our supplies are. We'll have them at work. And we teach, next slide, how to turn when and how to turn utilities off safely and the reasons that you do. Next, how to use an extinguisher. And then we learn first aid skills, hands only CPR, how to provide care for people, stabilize them until they can get better help. And we encourage everybody to have an escape plan and practice that escape plan. And then to use all the resources that are available to them to get better prepared. And including Red Cross, Ready.gov, Ready Ventura County, Community Emergency Response Team. I see a question, where are the classes typically held these days? Currently, we've got classes going on in Simi, Thousand Oak, Camarillo, and Port Hueneme. And they're held either in public buildings or in classrooms at schools or other facilities. We're in the EOC we meet at the Regional Training Center when the classes are taught in Camarillo. They use the Emergency Operations Center at the police headquarters in Ventura City. And then, of course, other public. Right there off of Seaward at Seaward and the 101. So it's a great training, and it gives you great preparation. We teach us sometimes, I like to tell them that we teach them as much what not to do as what to do. The reason CERT was started by Los Angeles Fire Department was they witnessed people in Mexico City following a major earthquake, untrained people trying to save people who were trapped, and many of them were injured or killed. They said the number of people have saved were about 1,000. The number of people that were injured or killed was about 100. So those firefighters came back and said, it's time for us to put together a plan. So that was in the mid 80s, and that's why they developed the CERT program. Any questions?
Hey, Steve and Natasha, it's Chris Sam here. Not a question for Steve, but I'm a member of the leadership team of the Kencrest Firewise community in Thousand Oaks, and I'm actually one of Steve's students in the Thousand Oaks training program. Outstanding, really worthwhile. What struck me was a point that Steve made, that in a crisis, a major emergency, we just assumed that the emergency services are going to come, riding across the ridge to help us out, but that's not going to happen. Cell phone services are going to be down for a long time. The fire service is not going to respond. The ambulances aren't going to respond. So what it's taught us is how do we collectively look towards ourselves and our communities, our neighbors and our communities, to respond in an emergency like that. So outstanding. I'll encourage anyone in the fire safe community to go ahead and take part in this. And Natasha, we as a Firewise leadership team, we're meeting this Saturday to talk about getting some others within Kencrest to take the CERT training too, so that it's not, we've got a couple of people that are trained already, but to broaden that landscape a little bit. But thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that endorsement. We do try and put on a good program. All the instructors are pretty enthusiastic. They've got some fun stories to tell. I know that his main instructor's got some crazy Disney stories to share, and so
I wrote down a moment.
Yeah, that's right. But it is a good program. Thank you. There was another question. I can't remember what it was. Let me look. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. That's awesome that you guys are meeting this Saturday too. That'll be really great for your community.
Yeah. We'll let you know how things go.
Okay, sounds good.
Somebody asked, provide an event where CERT team actually was put to use. Many communities do not utilize their CERT teams as to activate them. Like the chief said in that video, you'll know when you're going to be activated. You'll know that the event, whatever it is going to require your actions, and you'll self-activate and start taking care of family, friends, neighbors, and so on. But that's not true in all communities, because Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks, Camarillo, and now Ventura City are organizing active CERT teams. They call them either DSWs or DART teams. They do extra training. They meet frequently after the CERT class, and they hone their skills, and they will be called. So there are lots of opportunities to take the CERT training and then volunteer within the communities, and also to volunteer within the county. But during the wildfires, the Woolsey Fire, Thomas Fire, there are stories of them helping direct traffic. Once everything is taken care of personally and within your family and neighborhood, then reaching out to take care of others.
And if I may add to that too, I've seen some Firewise communities have their CERT team compiled a list of those with access needs in the community ahead of time. That way, if there is a disaster, they can prepare for that accordingly. And they put that in their action plan too. So it's an excellent one to put into your Firewise action plans.
Sure. And we encourage, like you do, we encourage people who take the CERT class to get to know their neighbors, so they know what their strengths are and what their needs are. Someone can find a home and on oxygen or unable to get around by themselves. A good neighborhood would know about that and then be prepared to go and help them.
Okay, me too. But everyone's welcome to unmute and ask any questions that you might have for Steve here as well. I think we got another question from Kevin. Can you provide a past disaster event in Ventura County where a CERT team was actually put to use, Steve?
Yeah, I think I just addressed that. The communities who have the DSWs and disaster service workers that are sworn responders that are CERT trained, such as Camarillo and Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley, utilize them a lot. And they, directed traffic, helped with evacuations. You can go set up and help with Red Cross. There's a number of things that you can do if you end up not actually setting up say a medical treatment area in your neighborhood, but even going grander to help with other things. Ham radio operators that are CERT trained could join the Ventura County communications team and become a disaster service worker that way as well.
And then Kevin had another question, which was honestly my same question there, Kevin. How often would you recommend folks retrain if they've taken a class?
That's a good question. And we do have people who come back and take it after a few years. And they say that it is valuable to them to do that. So every few years would certainly be a good opportunity. And the other thing is, if you're interested, you can contact us at Ventura County Fire, and we can direct you to an online course that was developed because of COVID. And you take it at your own pace, you register for it. It's about the same time, about 3 hours for each class. The difference is you don't get the hands-on training, but it helps to re-emphasize the things that you've learned. And so I was really skeptical of it when they first presented it to me. I told them, I don't like it, but they bugged me. So I took the class, and it turned out online, and it turned out I thought it was done very well. I encourage people. So that'd be another good way to take it. You can take it at your own speed. If you're halfway through a class and you've got to go somewhere or you've got to fix dinner, you stop. When you come back, it takes you right back to that same spot. And each time you complete one of the units, you get recognition for it. At the end, you can get a certificate of completing the course. So that's another way to do it too.
And Steve, let's say there was a community that has quite a few people that would like to get the training. Are they able to schedule like a unique training for their community, and what's like a minimum amount of people they would need to?
That's a good question. We won't teach the class for less than 25 people. It's not practical. So if a group, one of your communities wants to have the class, they can either contact their city officials and offer to, let's join your class there if they want to have it, say, in a clubhouse on their property, and invite the public to come to that. That happens a lot. But we'll work with anybody who wants to do it. We have, budgets. We have a limited budget, and it's really quite limited when you think about it. Just to give you a perspective, we try and put on 2 CERT classes in each community that asks for it. So that includes backpacks, books, and the instructors. And we try and do that with $60,000 a year for the whole county. So we're limited, but we would love to be able to provide that. So that's why we require a minimum of 25 people.
That's good to know. You weren't kidding about the video troubles. I think your video is a bit haunted this month. I think it was glitching out for me for a second. I don't know if it was glitching out for anybody else. But very cool. I think if anybody wants their community to get CERT training, you're welcome to contact me, and maybe I could funnel many communities that might have that amount of people, 25, and then Steve, I could contact you about a class.
Sure,
so
I
if
can help
anyone's
you with
interested,
that.
yeah, that would be a great one.
Kevin asked, what's DSW? Is it spelled right? Yep, that's it, DSW, and it stands for Disaster Service Worker. And DSW is sworn by either the local or county or state agency that you would be working for. So Simi Valley DSW would be a disaster service worker that is sworn to do that. And if any of you are public employees, work for any public agency, why then you are a DSW by virtue of your public employee position.
And then I'd also like to shout out, I just sent a link in the chat that Sarah sent earlier, but for folks who would want any assistance, particularly with CERT, there's these disaster ready guides that we can provide your community. One community used those disaster ready guides to create a new resident packet. So whenever there was a new resident that would join, they put that disaster ready guide into their packet and gave it to them. It's great for CERT because it talks about preparing a go bag, how to prepare a go bag, all those basic things. If you're also tabling or having any events in your community, you can request those from us and we'll provide it to you. That way you can always have it available. But that's the link in the chat if you'd like to request those as well. Any other questions for Steve? Yeah.
Anybody can send me an email if you'd like, but I don't know that you've got my email address. Shall I put that in chat?
Awesome.
Okay, and then I would be glad to work with you and your local community to get a CERT class going. That's basically my job. Let me see, is to facilitate CERT classes throughout the county.
Very much
All right.
embracing the retired fire captain life. Not so
Yeah,
retired, but great.
it's fun. I enjoy it.
That's great, Steve. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Is there any last questions for Steve before he hops off?
All right.
right, then.
Thank you, folks. Thanks for inviting me.
Nice
Thanks,
job, Steve.
Steve.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for thank you for all you guys do.
Awesome.
People
Great
do.
to have you. And then for anybody else that's on the call, Larry has a couple updates for us for Ventura County Fire Department. So I'll let Larry take it from here, and then we can go on to any Firewise related questions as well. So Larry, if you could take the floor. Thanks, Larry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this monthly workshop. Yeah, as Natasha mentioned, we're at 21 recognized Firewise communities in our county. Just some quick numbers. 2 years ago, we started with 2. We started 2024 with 6. The state got number 700 in October of last year, about 1 year ago. We got number 800 with King Crest Ridge in April, May. They just recently, I think it's Dunsmore, California, became recognized as the 900th. And of last week, we had 959 recognized communities in the state, which is over 40% of the nationwide numbers. So you can see it's greatly expanding, which is good because it's getting the word out, the education out. We know that elephant in the room, the insurance, is the one that's creating part of this, but it's still providing education to people. So it is important to continue with that. For those that were recognized in 2024, you should be good and not have to do a renewal application in November next month. Those prior to that, when you go into the portal, it'll tell you whether you need to submit a renewal application. So just make sure that you stay on top of that, so you don't lose your recognition. That's very important there. With that said, yes, I had set a personal goal of 24 this year, so 3 more. If get the word out, those are still in process, or if you know your groups, we'd love to see that. More than that would be awesome, but that's something I'd like to see us go. Defensible space regulations. There was a new Senate Bill 504 was passed, signed by the governor, which will go in effect in January. What it basically did for defensible space is a couple things. The first is it is now when the Board of Forestry issues their Zone 0 ember resistant regulations, which they're still working on. They're not released from the governor's office to move forward for the public review process. So hopefully sometime in 2025, we'll see that happen. But when they go into effect, that's immediate for new construction. And previously it was supposed to be 1 year for existing homes in the fire zones that they would be mandated to retrofit under state law. That's now been moved to a 3-year retrofit phase-in period to give them more time to do what they need to do and stuff. The state's also looking at trying to find funding to be able to assist people with that. That's what's sort of holding this process going forward, because it's a huge impact. The other thing that 504 did was it addressed what we identified earlier in the Zone 0 group is you have your 0 to 5, but you can't just stop there and just go back up to big stuff at 5 feet away. So the law has now been changed to where there needs to be a transition through the 5 to 30 foot, a phasing of the vegetation to help implement Zone 0. We've been doing that in our standard. Ventura County has got a Zone 0 for all new stuff. As most do in Firewise have that. We recommend people retro. We treat all new buildings, new construction with it. But you got to phase it and you got to sort of tear it out from the structure. You can't just go out 5 feet and go big. So that's now written into state law going into effect on January 1st. So those were the 2 big items that came out of that. And then the other item is we heard from State Fire Marshal's office a week ago when they were attending the fire prevention officers meeting here that we hosted, that as soon as the governor gives the green light, they will be releasing the local responsibility area. Fire has its very own recommended maps, the updated maps. They already did it for the state areas. Tentatively, they're been throwing out there, possibly we will see them in the beginning of the year. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm still breathing because it's been probably 7 to 8 years in the makings that we thought we were going to have them too. So that's just where we are with the stuff regards to defensible space and fire severity zone regulations and my information on Firewise. Thank you.
Hey, Larry, a question. Larry?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I'm just wondering, so is there an easy to read guide other than the ordinance of, what this 3-year retrofit set of rules are going to be? 0 to 5 and the 5 to 30. Like what's like insurance companies have set it out. It's like if you do this, this, and this, we'll give you renewals. And then there's different lists to look at of what you need to do. So with the state law, the new state law, will there be a summary of the requirements that ordinance is going to demand you do?
Well, the ordinance is local. That's Ventura County's ordinance. We're more restrictive than state law already.
Oh.
So what we have, for all new in our standard 515, that already takes into account what we're hoping the state puts into play in their transitional phasing of the zone 1 requirements between the zone 0 and the zone 2. We already have a zone 0. There is nothing published from the state yet because they have not. The law requires the Board of Forestry with input from CAL FIRE to develop those regulations. This Board of Forestry has draft regulations that have been worked on, but they're not ready to be put out for full public review and formal adoption yet. So we don't know what that's going to be. There's nothing I can put other than what the state law says as far as requirements for defensible space. Oh, and it did one other thing in the law where it talks about your fuels that are supposed to be maintained and spaced. It said during average weather conditions. That's been deleted. It just says during a wildfire event. Period. Because some areas is Santa Ana the average normal weather condition. Southern California, yeah, but in other areas don't have winds, so they took that out. It's just you need to look at your areas and make sure that regardless of the weather conditions, that defensible space is supposed to work. That's what the statutory law is. We will see probably more information from the state later, but if you really want to do some good defensible space, look at our standard because it's more restrictive than the state regulations. And it's been looked at by other experts in the field, the scientists and stuff that do the modeling, IPHS, University of California, and some of those folks, and they concur with the items that we did in justifying how we've done our height limitations, our mosaicing limitations, versus what the state guide would normally require.
So look at our current regs for the new construction.
The regs that you have to keep in mind, defensible space is not grandfathered just because someone put it in and then the regulations change. They could be required to modify that. And we call that out in our standard. However, what we've been doing is we've been concentrating on for retrofit is the common areas, large open spaces that are adjacent to structures, those parcels because they affect a lot more parcels. We have not gone down into the individual parcel level, going in and telling people to start tearing out their vegetation. We're educating people that they need to start doing that. That's what the Firewise program is also assisting with. But down the road, everyone needs to understand that when state issues their formal regulations, and ours will probably be pretty good in line with it, that people are going to have to start taking out vegetation on their property mainly it's the ornamentals. That's the biggest item everyone's concerned about. But yeah, it's everyone, whether you get a notice from us or not, you're still ultimately responsible to maintain proper defensible space on your individual parcel by law. So we're really trying to focus on educating, getting people to understand the reason why they need to start reducing their fuels. But we're not getting out chainsaws and everything and going out and telling people start cutting everything down. We're trying to encourage it. We're just starting to phase it in and educate people to it.
And Larry, just for anybody that wasn't here last week or last month, could you remind us about the community fire risk reduction list that we got on for Ventura County?
Yes. So every 2 years now, the Board of Forestry publishes a fire risk reduction communities, FRRC list. And what that purpose is that those communities that got approved for that list go beyond the minimum requirements of the state for wildfire preparedness. And there's a lot of categories of items they have to submit to get that approval. What that does is it allows for those jurisdictions and any other nonprofits that are eligible for submitting for type of fire prevention grants to be able to use that to get priorities in the funding review of those applications. It also, in California, for the insurance commissioner's regulation, it's one of the 4 mitigation factors that the insurance companies are supposed to recognize and have reduced rates taking that into account. What they do, how they do those rates, we have nothing to do with it, but we are on the 2024 list. They're July, effective July 1st, good for 2 years. They'll reapply again next, the next 2-year cycle. We should always stay on it. But you can present that to your insurance company along with your Firewise recognition and let them know that, hey, I meet the 2 insurance commission's regulations. We're fire risk reduction communities list neighborhood community, and that because of the fire department, and that we're in a Firewise recognized community. Then they're going to look at your parcel level, and that's where Firewise Council comes in. Our Fire Safety Council comes in, and Firewise about doing the HIZ inspections.
Awesome, thank you, Larry.
Does that get you a California Fair Plan discount maybe too?
That you would have to talk. What we've heard is California Fair Plan. If you're in a Firewise recognized community, they will give a discount. I believe it's about 10%. You need to talk to Firewise or Fire Safe Council or Fair Plan. You need to talk to Fair Plan about that. Anything else, you really need to talk to your insurance company because we don't regulate all that stuff. There's links on our website to Insurance Commissioner's Office. They've got some new stuff coming out. There was a town hall meeting this past Tuesday night. It's on Supervisor Gorell's website. There's a 2-hour meeting. Department of Insurance was there. Assembly Person Irwin was there. We had about 125 in person, 200 online, and they're discussing some of the changes coming up for the insurance companies to assist on trying to get insurance companies to issue policies in California and stuff. But that's out of the fire department's hands. We're looking at what's the hazard from the fire. How can we reduce the hazard? In which for the insurance companies helps them to reduce the risk.
We should have asked her Wednesday, darn it.
And then I think Deborah just asked, what are the other 3 mitigation factors which insurance companies consider? I don't know if you know that at the top of your head, Larry, but I'm going to try to find the document that says what they consider. Okay.
It's linked. The regulations are linked in our website. We link over to the insurance commissioners. There's 4 mitigation factors. 2 are community, 2 are parcel based. The 2 community are the fire risk reduction communities list, which we meet, a recognized Firewise community in good standing. And if you're one of those 21, you meet. The other 2 factors are parcel level. That's your home hardening and your defensible space.
Oh, great. I've also dropped the link in the chat now, so it should be there. But you're always welcome to check out VCFD's website. Is very robust and has that as well. But as a soft recommendation, our Fire Safe Council is not associated with any insurances, so it's always recommended to double check and fact check as much as possible. We try to get all the latest information. But as a soft recommendation, if you're not on your insurance radar yet, I would recommend not putting yourself on their radar if they haven't contacted you yet. So this is really only to use if they've contacted you, raised your rates, or are considering dropping you, then you can present them this information. But yeah, again, we're not associated with the insurance, so I would not put yourself on their radar if you're not on their radar yet. All right, we have about a couple minutes left. Is there any other questions for Larry or me, or questions for Steve that I can ask him at a later time?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I don't know if this is the place or time. We're having a you're, I think, hosting on November 17th our Eagle Ridge Community First Firewise seminar workshop. And I'm just a little confused. I know I sent an email before about what resources, brochures and things that we get that we have to order and pay for, or which ones are provided to us, what you bring. And the A-frame sign, is that something you had mentioned that I could fill out a Firewise assistance form?
Yeah.
When I went to that, it kind of looked like it was doing an initial registration when we already have our application in progress or our assessment in progress. So I didn't know if that was the correct way to order that.
Let me walk you through the assistance application real quick, actually, and then this is the available flyers. None of them you have to pay for, so they're all completely free from our organization. And you would just specify out of this flyer list which one you'll like from us. And then this is the A-frames that you can borrow. And then you can also request flyers directly from the NFPA organization, and they'll send you 50 per community. If you need any more, we have some available as excess for communities that really would like more. But that's also something you can request from us. And then let me go ahead and walk through the assistance form real quick.
While you're doing that, we also have on our website, there's a good document. It's called Guide to Maintaining our Defensible Space Maintenance Guide. It's a 2-page guide with flyers. That's a good one to hand out to people that really explains and shows pictures of what defensible space is.
Oh, that's great. If you want, Larry, if that's a guide that we can share with the community, we can also put that in our assistance list and get it from you as well.
Yeah, it's on our website, and I have boxes of them.
Awesome. Sounds great. This is the assistance form that Deborah was talking about, and anybody who's applying for assistance can fill out. Essentially, if you're not a community that's within this list, we'll probably just get some basic data from you. So that's probably what you were experiencing, Deborah, which is the not listed here. We'll get some basic data from you, just like the zip code, your city, an address, dwelling units, and your point of contact. And then if you have a boundary, I'm not sure if you cut off. Yeah. And then once you go to the what is your Firewise status, you'll let us know what your status is. So let's say your board is forming, your work has begun. Then any community, regardless of status, should be able to check mark this, the assistance that they would require as flyers or marketing materials for the community. And then it says, select the available flyers. This is the link that I just showed you of the all of the available flyers, and you'll just let us know exactly what you're looking for. So it could be 25 home hardening flyers, 50 disaster ready guides, etc. Some folks may request a speaker, in which case we'll want to know the date of your event. People might want assistance with the risk assessment through your action plan or a tripper event for their community that could be added to our list of communities that are interested. Assistance isn't a guarantee, but at least once it's in our system, then we can better communicate about what we can give to you. Cheaper event particularly are on nonprofit timelines, so it might take a little while, but it's good to know what communities are interested in getting it. And then if you are a recognized community, this is where you'll also be able to apply for funding, where you can request up to $1,000. But hopefully that explains that a bit more.
And so you're going to be the initial speaker, or can we request a VCFD representative? Because I think I know a lot of communities like to hear from both.
100%, yeah. I can go ahead and I'll email Larry and see if he's available. I think actually, yeah, I'll email Larry and then his team to see if he's available the day that we have it scheduled. We try to get fire department as much as possible, but I know that they can be very booked, naturally. So we'll see. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah, okay. And I'll get in touch with you. I wanted to start ordering those brochures and so
Yeah.
great. Okay, thank you. That's great.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, I think we're at 2 p.m. So I think we're gonna end it from here. If you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime. Thank you again for coming to our October Firewise workshop. Next month, we won't have a workshop. It'll be saved for December 13th. And then Myra, I think, has a shout out for one last thing.
Yes, I just wanted to remind people about the media request that we're asking all Firewise communities who've essentially interacted with our Fire Safe Council to please submit the video. I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Again, it's basically a Google Doc that has the full directions. It's the request letter that we created to give you some direction as to what it is that we're expecting. And please get in touch with our team if you have any extra questions about like how to record this video. Really, I'm just asking like a quick phone video, and you can throw in any testimonials or comments about how the Fire Safe Council has helped you in your Firewise journey. But essentially, the main thing we need is just everybody to kind of in unison say thank you, Fire Safe Council, because then we're going to essentially put up all of those snippets together, so it's like one big compilation of all of the Firewise communities saying it together. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out. The Google Doc is there, and it's got the link to the Dropbox where we are asking people to submit their videos on there. So again, reach out if you have any questions, but thank you. Oh,
Thank you,
and the
everyone.
deadline is October 25th. We're trying to get this done by next Friday because we have essentially about a week and a half of editing time to be able to finish the full 3-minute video in order to premiere on the 14th, the November 14th at our celebration event at Topa Topa, Ventura. I hope you're all are coming. Yeah, your first drink is on us, so please come.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And then I think, Sarah, you have the power to end meeting for all, so I'll go ahead and let you do that. But thanks, everyone. Good to see you.